Recording in progress. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jared. I will be your host for today. And on our game show, or really not our game show, but on our Lunch and Learn show, I will be answering any questions that you may have related to decision specific stuff, because that's the only expertise I really have. And I'll demonstrate it if I can, or I will verbally talk about it if it's just something conceptual. Now, we do have one predefined question. The first question that we have is, I have multiple fields to validate with or conditions between them in a truth table, e.g. truth table first name, last name, age. Validate if first name is equal to Mickey or last name is Mouse or age less than 20, return true, else false. Beautiful, awesome. This is a great example. Oops, let me go here and I will show this. So essentially, nope, let's go into my local and I'll demonstrate this. So essentially how a truth table works, and we're actually going to create another folder for this, and this is called finding the truth within our truth table. I know it's kind of corny and cheesy, but that's what we're going to do. All right, so truth table is a type of rule in decisions where someone can create rule statements in kind of an Excel spreadsheet format. There's two types, internal and external. I'm going to demonstrate this concept via the internal one. So what you can do is, let's say this is the first truth table. And the main point of this question is I have three fields, but I need to evaluate them from or statements. So I'm going to actually rebuild the example that was demonstrated in the question. So if first name, so I think I have first name, last name, and age. Let's do that. First name, last name, oops, last name, and then we'll do age, and age is an integer right here. All right, so now I got three inputs. So now let's say I have, first name, and we're going to say equals, we're going to do last name equals, and then we'll do age, and we'll say, was it less than? Yeah, less than. We'll do less than, right? And then we got to output true or false, or depending on what we need. So how these truth table things work is basically every time you have a column, those are and statements. So by default, we have and statements here. So if I say that the first name is Mickey, last name is Mouse, and then age is less than, let's say, 20, right? So basically what this rule, and we'll say output true. So now what we have here is we have a rule that says if the first name equals Mickey and the last name equals Mouse and age is less than 20, output true. So these are lists of ands. So that's what we're going to need to be able to configure here. Now, the first thing, let's say we want to do this as ORs. So what we need to do is we need to say, hey, for this first one, we're going to, instead of saying a constant or selecting from float, we're going to say this is an ignore, meaning we're not going to have this one as a calculation. And we're going to do the same thing over here and ignore that. I can say ignore the condition, and then I could say less than 20, right? And then I would do the same thing again here. I'm going to say, hey, let's ignore this. Ignore condition. We'll say this one's Mouse, right? And then we'll ignore this condition. And we could say this output's true if it runs. So now why am I doing this? The reason why I'm doing this is the OR statement is tied to the different rows that you have. So how I read this is, does the first name equal Mickey and the last name equal Mouse and age less than 20? If so, output true. Or first name we don't care about, last name we don't care about, is age less than 20? Output true. Or is first name we don't care about, does the last name equal Mouse, and then age we don't care about? So does the last name equal Mouse? True. And that's how you build OR statements within a truth table. Basically, every row that you have is an OR statement. So that's how we would configure that in a truth table if you have to do multiple or statements through it. Okay, so that's that question. I'm gonna move on to the second one, where we have one that says, I've seen decisions ability to generate documents and populate in a Word document based upon data in a flow. I would like to understand how flexible that is. Can it pull in data from other databases? Can you span tabular data across pages, show 10 records per page online? How much control do you have over formatting? Gotcha. So won't be able to show too much about this one, Chris, but I can talk to the specifics about it. So let me kind of go into the flow designer and show you what steps that we have. So I'm just going to create a quick flow. This is going to be like document generation. Document generation. Document generation example. And this one's specifically Word documents. So if you just type Word in the flow, we have a lot of different steps. Ooh, I want to make this perfect. We have a lot of different Word steps that you can utilize to append to a Word document and all that stuff. How scalable that it is, Christopher, is all depends on the just the logic you build within the flow. So if you want to pull in data from other databases, you absolutely can do that. You first have to create an external database integration to get that data to appear, and then you can show that there. Over the formatting, I don't believe we have too much on the formatting. A great check for that would be, let me look at format. Format number, format text, and that's the object, format the string. I don't think that's what we're looking for. Let's see, but a lot of, does it show 10 records per page or 9? Yeah, there is, oh man, there is a great YouTube video I created. Let me see if I can find that I think kind of goes, the only caveat to it, Chris, is that it isn't necessarily Word documents, but it shows you some really cool things that you can do if you combine several different designers together. And so let's just go on a YouTube, if I could spell it, youtube.com. And I think it's called like Making Decisions. Is like, it's my old channel that I used to build stuff on. And I have this generic document creation video that kind of goes through where it's like, hey, over here, you can see in this video, I can add different rows. And as soon as I say like refresh, then it's going to add that row into that particular PDF. So let's see if I go ahead and add another row here, or let's rerun this video. Oh, perfect. So there's no data here. Thanks for getting that well. So as you can see, there's no data here, but once I start adding some data, I'll go ahead and click the refresh. And boom, all of that data appears to the left. So boom, it refreshes and all of that data appears to the left. Let me make that full screen. The video quality is not the best. But then as you can see here, I'm going to pause it here. You see that it sums it as a net value. It sums the different rows for the total short-term value, all that stuff. A lot of this has additional logic that's built in the background to do this. So for example, it uses decision string builder steps, which there's another video here in this channel that actually has like those string builder steps that we utilize to change the formatting, all that stuff, because anything that deals with formatting is going to be from an HTML perspective. So the link is in the chat. Let me go ahead and put it in for everyone so that everyone can have access to it. And then what you can do is you can go ahead and watch it. And I believe this may be disabled. Oh, actually, it's not. Okay. So I believe if you click on that link, I have a link to this actual project here. So if you want to mess around and kind of see what the flexibility and capability of it is, you can see what steps I've utilized here. And I think I have a lot of other projects that I've utilized for this. So it's very powerful. It's just more of how involved do you want to like what's going to filter what you need is what is the end goal of the project, what is the specific use case, how many records or fields do you think are going to be utilized or or any type of filtering parameters that will help us say, okay, you can use these steps or these steps. But over broad view question, it's more of, we have different document different document steps that you can utilize. In decisions, it's easier to utilize a PDF and manipulate a PDF. And then what you can do is there's a convert step where you can say convert PDF. I think it's convert. Nope. Is a convert doc. There's a convert. There you go. Convert document. And then what you can do is you can say, hey, I want to change this PDF and convert it into a Word document. And so that's how you can say, hey, I have an initial thing that's in PDF that allows decisions to manipulate it easier, and then I can convert it back into a Word document if your business requires that. So just to recap, I know that was a long answer to your question. I hope that helps. The short summary of it is this is a YouTube video that kind of talks through generic document creation. Here is the Google Drive in the description of the video for the link of this project. So if you want to import it in your local to test it out, you can. And then it has a prerequisite video to understand the steps that were used to create this. Alrighty. All right, Radley, I'm going to allow you to talk. And then after I answer Radley's question, I will answer Ann's questions. I haven't forgot about you, Ann. But go ahead, Radley.
Hey, Jared. So I just want to confirm what I'm finding here, make sure I'm not doing something wrong. I have a fetch entity step, and one of the criteria that I'm using in there is a string, a name equals another name. Does case matter for that equals?
Ooh, good question. Let's see. So if I'm going to grab, I'll just use the account type. I want to say no, but let's kind of do it live. So I got account, add a filter, and then let's say I'm going to grab the, I think it's the email. Where's the email? Email address. And we'll click OK, and awesome. Okay, so now I want to say no, but let's see. All right, I'm gonna do a constant. So I'm gonna see if I can fetch the admin account, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna misspell it intentionally. And let's see if it fetches that account. Boom. So it looks like it is case insensitive, meaning that even if you don't match the case specifically, it will grab it. So it's not a strict filter.
And I must be doing something wrong because I'm getting a different result. But okay, that's what I was hoping for. So that's good. I'll keep working on it.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Jared.
My pleasure. All right, so now next question, Ann. So I have questions regarding which steps should I use. I have a flow structure that has different variables, in this case decimals. I need to pass all variables to a truth table and get all the variables in the flow structure decisioned. Ooh, I like that word. I'm gonna start using that word, decisioned. I need to get them decisioned. Should I use a for each step in or run flow for list or any other steps? The issue is with the for each step or run flow for list step is they need a list to run, but all the variables are stored in a flow structure. Okay, so I'm gonna allow you to talk. I need a clarifying question from this Ann. So my question is, so to answer your question, you can still use a run flow for list or for each step with a flow structure. But my question is, where are you getting that data? Is it coming from like a fetch, or are you uploading a file? Where's the data coming from?
So the data is like passing into like as an input, and they will store in like a flow structure, and then all of them are like decimals, like test 1, test 2, test 3, and then all of them are like decimals. And then I will have like a truth table. So for example, if it's test 1, like the test 1 score is between like 90 to 80, it will be scored like A, and then B, C, D, F, like that. But like all the variables in that flow structure need to be passed in, like a for loop, passing into the table, and then get that outcome of A, B, C, D.
Gotcha. And so basically, if I'm understanding, you're taking in, let me see if I can build this. I think I understand what you're saying. So if I'm totally off, let me know. So if I have a flow structure, and this is my flow structure, and I have, let's say, just test 1, And they're all decimals, right? Like you said?
Yep. All of them are decimals.
Perfect. So we'll just do 3 properties. Decimal, decimal, and decimal. So I'll create this. Okay, and then we'll go back to this. I'm actually going to create a new flow to make. So this is going to be testing flow structures. So now, and then we have to have a truth table of some sort, correct?
Yep.
What's kind of the setup of the truth table? Is it
Just saying like, so for example, like test, like if the decimals, like all the decimals is between, for example, like 100 between 90, it's A, and then it's like in range, 70 to
gotcha?
like, yeah.
So are you trying to test all the properties?
Yes, all of them, all the properties.
Oh, I think I see what you're saying. Okay, so you want to. Oh,
Test 2 in and then test 3, all of them in there and then run through separately.
oh, interesting. So there's a couple of ways we can deal with that. Now I see why the list is the issue. What you can do is, so is there any limitation? So this may be the simpler option. Maybe this is the thing. Maybe, is you can edit your flow structure and make it just like store a list of decimals, and then you can loop through that list.
No, because
That won't work for the use case. Okay.
yeah, because each one is have one decimals, like one number.
Gotcha. So they are disparate pieces of data.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So that rules out that. Then the other thing we can do is, okay, I know I have it open decisions. Thank you for informing me. So let's say we're determining, all right, so we're just gonna say this is the decimal.
Yeah.
Decimal. I was gonna say this is number. I'm gonna call it number value. Decimal. Put it here. And I'll just say, right, the decimal value. And they're going to do in range, right, between. And we'll just say, yes. Include both the high value, let's just say 100, and low value is going to be 1. So now, what would your output be? Would your output be like a string or something, or?
The output is gonna be a string. Yeah.
Okay, and output's like a letter, right?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, okay, I think I'm getting it. Okay, so boom, we're gonna say this is A. We're gonna say, we'll say Z, whatever, if nothing matches. And then I'll do one more, and we'll say this is, the high value is gonna be 200, and low value be 101, and we'll say include the boundaries, just so that we can get something both.
Yep.
Just so that we get some data. Ooh. And this will be B. All right, so what we can do is essentially okay, so we get this data. So I'm going to say we pass in, I'm going to create my flow structure. My flow structure. This is going to be my data. And we have 3 properties in it. And I'm just going to define, well, actually, I don't need to define anything just yet. So I need to get all this in. So what you can do is there is a step, essentially what pretty much all the data is in decisions. This is just good for when you're dealing with any data, but it also is very pertinent to your use case, Anne, is that all of this data that I have here, and let me put just create data step to illustrate this, and be FS, my flow structure. And then I'm just gonna say select from flow and grab my data. And I'm just going to skip this for right now. So if I grab this data and I say this is 5, 3, or 150, right? And then I run this. The inputs and outputs of this is just decisions. This is just JSON, right?
Mhm.
So the good thing about knowing that any of the data that presented here, it's just kind of decisions shows all your data in like nested JSON. Why is that relevant? The reason why that's helpful to understand that concept is we have JSON steps that help us to be able to take apart our data structure and then send different pieces of the data members through. So for example, I think there is a step either searching in JSON, or you can also go into the data category and go through JSON. There is a step that allows us to, let's see, I don't think it's get JSON schema. Oh, I know what it is. It's not that. It's an advanced, and it lets you get the property names on object. So what this does, and I'm gonna run it so you can see it, is you just pass in an object. So I'm gonna pass in my data, and then when I debug this get property names on object, right? Oh man, I didn't save a unit test. Let me save a unit test. Always unit test, and then we'll do 2 and okay. And then I'm going to start debugging. Now, when I go to this step, you'll notice that what it outputs is it outputs all of my data properties as a list of strings. So it says, hey, your flow structure has these properties on it, right? And then what you can do is you can do a cool step. I'm going to move this out of the way, because then what you can do is then you could say, hey, get the there's a, oh man, I'm forgetting the step. There's a step that will allow you to say, hey, you have this property name, get the value associated with it. And you can run it in like that. So basically so let's get property on object. I wonder if it's this one. Nope, it's not this one. Set property, it's not that one either. I think it's like get JSON value from path. Nope, because that's not it. I've done this before. I'm just blanking on the step. Hold on. Let me say get property names on object. Boom. Yep, my data. Get property. Get string value. That won't do it. Set property on object. Hold on. There is. Unless, well, I don't think we get path from value. Oh, there we go. Get value from JSON by name. That's what I was looking for, I think. Get value from JSON by name. So basically what you would do is you can pass in your data. I think this is how it works. So your JSON text would be, I'm just going to grab the first one out here. Nope, I did it wrong. I think it has to be JSON text to the serialized string. Get value from JSON by name. Get JSON path from value, because I need a JSON string for that. Get data pairs, get array. So essentially what we can do is you can take in your data, it gets it by the data name, and then I guess we can serialize it, and I'll do my string. What is it? I think it's like called my flow structure or something. Yeah, my flow structure. So I can first change the data that I'm receiving. I can make it a serialized JSON object to serialize. I'll say it's my data. Then what I can do is I can then on the same object get the property names of the object. And then I can say, hey, let's get the value from JSON. And my JSON text is going to be the JSON serialized output. And then the name is going to be, I'm just going to grab the first one right here. So I'm going to delete a lot of this stuff just to clear up kind of what I'm doing here. All right, cool. And then now when I debug this, I didn't pass in data. Oh, I didn't save the unit test. Darn it. I keep messing that up. 3 and then 78. Yes. And we're going to say save. And this is going to be my first test, save. And then when I debug this, you'll see now that it just takes in the data, your JSON data, and just serializes it. That's all it does. So now it's one long JSON string. Now what I can do is I can say, hey, get the property names of this JSON, which is which is the object. So I get, hey, these are the property names. Then what I can say after that is I can say, hey, get the value from JSON by the name. And so now, as you can see, I passed in test1. And so now we should see an output of 1, 2, 3. Right here, an output of 1, 2, 3. So what this helps us do is we can say, all right, let's expand this to help us do this for several of the objects and not just the ones that I have. So I can say, hey, let's use a for each step. And I'm going to for each through the list of strings in this case, which is going to be the get property names. Go to next. And then now instead of grabbing just the property names, or just the first one, since I'm looping through the for each step with the item for every property name I have, all I have to do is say, hey, let me just grab the item. And then now when I run through this, do my first data test, right? It's going to run through my first execution is test1. So when I look at the inputs and outputs, I get 1, 2, 3. So this one matches. When I look at output 2, I get 3, which is correct here. And when I look at the third one, you get output 78. And then, so basically you can use a for each step, or you can pass in that list of property names in a run flow for list, depending on how many property names you have for speed. And then all you'd have to do is add your truth table right here. I think what's the recent one? Decimal range test, right? So then all I have to do is select from flow, grab the output. What is this one? Rename, get value of JSON by output. Value JSON output. Hold on a second. Oh, I know why. It's expecting a number value. Okay, so then I could use a converter, say convert string to decimal, and then now I can grab that one, get value. And so now if I debug this, my first test, you'll see now in my execution, I'm evaluating, hey, this is A. First execution is B, right? And I'm able to run through every single property of it instead of just, oops, sorry, let me make this nice and neat so you can see it. Boom. So now it's saying, all right, serialize the JSON, get the properties of the JSON, for each through the property names, get the value of that property there, and then loop through it, and then output the letter. And on the, then you can do whatever logic that you want after that.
Is this like recorded and it will send it to us?
Yeah, I mean, I'll even send this to you right now. So I can, yep, this is recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. I can export this, and if you put your email in the chat, I'll email this to you right now. This is for Anne.
Yep, I will send it to you right now.
Perfect. And folder and content. Yeah, we want everything. Add. Perfect. Awesome. And then I will export. Download project dependencies. Exactly. Download. So finding the truth within our truth table, or it's also, this is for Anne. And then I will go ahead, go to my email. Let's go to the chat. Yep, I gotcha. And here, and say, this is the project demoed on the Lunch and Learn. And I believe, where'd it go? Yeah, I was like, it's not that big. And send. All right, just sent it to you. And also, yes, this is recorded. We uploaded on our YouTube channel, so you can view it.
Thank you.
At your own leisure. My pleasure. All right. Let's see. We got anyone else? Looks like we don't have no more lunch and learn questions. Kirsten, you had a question about the what was it? The filtering?
I'm good. I found it. But if
Okay.
if you want to talk about it, by all means.
We might as well. It'll be good content. So,
Yes.
me and Kirsten were talking about earlier about how to hide certain actions, and a lot of the hiding capability comes with when you create a data structure, especially one that has a configuration folder. So if I created a data type and it's going to be sure or not, let's not do, which would be one, what would be a good one? I'm going to do it the other way. So let's say I want to create an entity configuration for the accounts data table and decisions. I want to have custom data actions for that specific data type and decisions. The reason why I may want this is I don't want to have to recreate the accounts table. I just want to create a way to add actions on an already existing data type, in this case, a native decisions data type. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an entity configuration extension, and it creates me a configuration folder for that native data type. And what we'll find is important about a configuration folder is it allows you to have all of the configuration folder actions for data types. So things like user actions and all that stuff. So the thing that I was demonstrating is if I want to create a hello action, right? Hello. And I'm going to do a show pop-up. I'll put this here. I'll put this here, and we'll call this constant, and we'll say this is hello. Be like, hello, is it me you're looking for? All right, anyway, enough of Lionel Richie. All right, and so now I can go ahead and close this. And now anytime I view my accounts folder, I'll have this action called hello. I can run it and it just says hi to me, right? I just need people to say hi to me. And so I build processes to do it for me, right? Anywho, now let's say I want everybody, every instantiation of this account data type, anytime someone reports over it or anything, I want to hide this hello action. Very easy. You just go into this folder. I can go into my all. I can go into action visibility rule. I can say this is hide hello. And then I can say, hey, I want to hide in the action header. I want to hide the action name. And I want to hide any action that equals hello. And this is case sensitive, so you have to make sure. And I think I did a capital H, but I may not have. Let's find out. Oh, okay, good. So now when I go back to here, you'll see that now my hello user action is gone. But you'll also notice that this dashboard I created reports over the accounts folder. So if I go into the security accounts and right click here, you'll see that my hello action is gone from that dashboard as well. Let's say I don't want this behavior. Let's say I just want the hello action to be disappeared from this dashboard, but not the accounts dashboard right here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to use a different way of hiding and filtering that action. And instead of using the global filtering, which utilizes action visibility rules, there's another way you can do action visibility rules that's not utilizing this action. So I'm going to delete this. And I'm just going to restate the objective. The objective is I want to keep the hello action on the dashboard in the accounts folder, but I want to hide the hello action on my custom show accounts folder dashboard. That's the objective, that's the goal. So how do I do that? Well, the other way to hide actions is actually going into the page designer and then clicking on the report viewer and looking into the properties. And when you go into the behavior section here, you'll have these filter actions. And these filter actions allow you to filter any of the things that you want. So in this case, if I say filter by name, notice that the logic here is reversed. So I want to then display the things, only the things I want to show up, right? In the action visibility rule, it's the opposite, right? You have to hide, whatever returns true hides that action. In the action filtering here on the report viewer inside the page designer. Yes, I know it's a little weird because it's report filtering, but it's in the page designer, not in the actual report viewer. Here you need to say, what are the things I want to show? So in this case, I will say, show the password reset. I want that one to appear. I want to show the edit account. And those are the only two that I want to appear on the report. So now when I close this and I go back to my dashboard, you'll see now when I right click, I only have edit account. You may be asking what happened to the password reset. Probably what happened with the password reset is I misspelled it. So if I go back into my accounts dashboard here, you'll see, and you can see it's not password reset, it's reset password. So that's why it didn't show up, because it doesn't exist. So, but now but as you can see, the big difference here is notice that the hello action appears in the accounts folder, but does not appear in here. That's because I utilized a limited filtering on the report viewer in the page designer that says, hey, only show the specific actions that I tell you in the behavior category. And so now if I say, no, I want you to show the reset password, and then I close and save this, now you'll see, man, I cannot spell to save my life. All right, let's go into reset password. I think I spelled it right. Reset password. Let's see. I'm gonna find it. Behavior reset password. It may be an admin level one, and that's why it's not showing. But the main point is still applicable here, that if you have to list the names of the things you want to show, and you can also do it by the categories as well. So if you want certain categories to show, you can check that box and store certain categories. And then boom, I have my ad, I have my edit account, and all of these things will show up here. And I've only filtered it limitedly from here and here. So that's the main thing I wanted to show with these two different things. Now, here's the next thing that I think is relevant to this, is there are two types of actions in every single dashboard. And this is very paramount to understand when you start filtering things for different users. It's the concept of categories and of actions. So I'm just going to remove all the filtering that I created on this dashboard just to illustrate this point. So an action is anything that does not have a little arrow here. So these are not actions. We'll talk about what these things are in a little bit. All of these are actions because they don't have that little arrow. Here are my drawings. Because they don't have that little arrow, these are all user actions. Now you'll notice there's two different types of user actions. There's one that is bold, and there's a whole section that is not bold. What does that mean? What that means is that the bold means that this is a custom user action, one that was made custom. The ones that are not bold are ones that are preloaded into the system and come with that data type. That's why whenever anyone reports over the account data type, you get these automatically because they just come with the data type. But the bold one only comes if someone has created that user action behavior. That's the thing. Now, what are these things? The ones that have the arrows here. This goes into certain categories saying, hey, this is a category of actions. And just like user actions, you can filter out categories of actions as I've just showed via the report viewer on the behavior property grid for the filter actions area. But the more powerful section of this is you can also filter out categories within the action visibility rule level as well. So remember, I created a configuration folder right here. And now if I want to filter out actions from the category level, I can do that as well. Action viz cat. Action we're cool with the young kids in these days. So we changed S's to Z's. So I'm trying to be hip with the youngsters. Action viz rules or rule. And you chop off letters too to be cool. So that's what I've learned, as you can tell, because I'm coolest thing ever. Anyway, so action viz rule, and this is going to be of the category level, right? And so now when I do that, notice that if I want to filter out categories, you are a youngster. Oh, thanks, Kirsten. I'm glad I'm still a youngster. My body aches and I'm getting aches and pains and all over. So I don't think my body feels like a youngster anymore. But anyway, so now what we can do is we can say, hey, let's go ahead and instead of doing action names, now we can do a category. And you can see here, there is another sub property in the action header called category. And commonly what I've seen is you can do like individual ones and say, hey, if it equals add or whatever, and that will remove that specific one. Or what you can do is you can go into your list rules and you could say in list, and you could remove a plethora. You can say remove add, remove manage. Oh man, what's the other one? I forgot what the other one was. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna open up my local again so we can find it out. Relations. All right. So I want to remove all of the default categories. That's what I'm doing. And so I'll make another one and go relations. And now what you'll see is now all of those categories are now gone from my dashboard. Boom. And also from any other dashboard that reports over, that information. So, but the reason why I want to show that is because that's how that can be a way you filter out actions if you create categories of actions for like certain for HR users or something that deals with management of data or deals with editing data, and you create a category, then you could filter out entire actions based on the category level and not on the individual action level. So it just makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to remove my action viz rule, delete the rule, and boom, we're done. And I'm actually also going to delete my action here, and I'm going to delete my configuration folder just because I just don't want to have it anymore. Delete folder, boom, cool. And that concludes action visibility rules in a nutshell from a global perspective, doing it from the configuration folder, and a local perspective, doing it on the report level. My pleasure. My pleasure. I'll exit you on left, or is it right? How do we do it in acting? I forgot. It's been a long time.
Not an actor. I don't know.
Okay. I was just I did a lot of music and I accompanied a long time ago, and I forgot what the thing was. But anyway, alrighty. I think we scared everyone away. So
That's what it looks like. I just
Yeah.
noticed it was just down to 0.
Exactly, it's just us. Well, since there's no one here, I'm gonna stop the recording and get it uploaded. So
Sounds
unless you
good.
guys have
Thank
any
you very
questions.
much. I'm good.
Nope.
Alrighty. Cool. All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.